Hey, welcome guys back to our channel. It is Maverick here. Today, it is the day of the grand finale of Ya Boy Kongming. So, everything has been building up for this episode, including last episode as well. We're finally gonna get this big epic showdown between Azalea, between Nanami and Aiko, and maybe we will finally listen to the full version of her song Dreamers, and maybe potentially some other songs as well. Fingers crossed for that, right? I would hope that we get to listen to other music as well. And, what exactly is going to be the end of this? I don't know. It really could go either way, right? It could be a situation where Aiko wins, it could be a situation where Nanami wins, it could be a situation where both wins, and it could also be a situation where both loses. Honestly, I can see all four scenarios happening, but I guess either one or two would be much more reasonable and probable, right? And considering most of the time the main character does win, we'll have to see about that, right? But Aiko is definitely, Nanami is definitely a formidable foe, Azalea, and again, I am absolutely betting that they are going to really come out, feel threatened, and start playing their own instruments and whatnot, and really shredding it up. Well, that's all I can say for now. Let's get into it. All right, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. All right, the Battle of Red Cliff again, eh? Yeah. Well, all right. Aiko song, Aiko no Uta. Hmm. Dang. Of course, there's like a. Let's go. Of course, you gotta build up the atmosphere, right? But honestly, I'm just like, come on! Alright. I guess we're not gonna have an opening this time, eh? Okay, now we're finally getting the chorus for the first time. This song, it sounds oddly nostalgic in a way. Why is... I'm not... Yeah. I'm just thinking, like, why does this sound so nostalgic in a way? Hmm. Yep, and now they're going to be... So what... Alright, now right before, they are also going to start singing? No? Alright, then if that's the case, then she won, right? Oh, no, not yet, not yet. We still have time! We still have time! Although it doesn't really seem like they're going to do anything. Oh, come on! We don't have a showdown? Lame! Although, I mean, even if they want to do anything, it's good practice to wait until she finishes her song, right? You don't want, like, two songs to be in conflict with each other at this point. Come on, Azalea. Please tell me you guys are gonna do something. Hmm. Alright. Alright, fine. He just so happens to be the 100,000. Sure. And by the way, what was the entire reason for Kaibe Taijin also being part of the group? Like, I thought he was gonna rap within the song as... What? So, are you guys... Okay, fine. At least they're going to play something. Are they... So they are still going to be playing their new song, right? Oh, damn, these are old fans. Yeah, I mean, like... Full, like... Honestly, this is more my type of music. Although it seems like their normal music is more like, yeah, more like pop rock. So if anything, the producer helped them get like a darker, harder vibe. But I don't know. I wouldn't say they wouldn't be a success. At least they would at least be a minor hit. This is really giving me like early day Scandal vibes. Probably. I mean, what the actual? Right, so that's why I said that there is a possibility that they will both get into it, right? Oh, okay, but still only one band can go? Oh, okay. Look at that hipster dude. I've known Azalea before they were cool. I mean, like, the ending to this fine, but I just kind of feel like there would have been a more epic way of doing this. Oh well. So I guess we gotta. Oh, oh. Yeah, he actually showed up. I mean, this part was pretty much obvious, right? He just became jaded. True. In all honesty, though. The Shokei band? Alright. So they're still gonna work with him? Yeah, there's definitely a middle ground to be reached between between being like what was I saying? What was I saying? There's definitely a middle ground between being naive and being way too jaded, right? I wonder what kind of stage that she's gonna be on though. Like I said before, in Summer Sonia, which is obviously a reference to Summer Sonic, there's still like small stages all the way to the large main stage. Small stages, like literally, you have an audience about maybe a couple hundred at most, whereas the big stage is the one with tens of thousands of people watching you. But that's for later. Or are you actually gonna sing? Since we're nearing the end, are you gonna sing like Keep JoJo instead? Well, hello, Liu Bei. Goodbye, Liu Bei. Yeah, Keep JoJo. Say party night. みんなで踊れ。100ナン Oh, yeah, it's all these. Yeah, so I guess Kabe's, sort of like partnership with Aika will only come to play later on. Right, so are both these groups are gonna make it big in the future? Eh? Uh, Alright, so this is just like flashback from the beginning. Alright. I do believe that Nanami is singing along with this as well, as the part of the vocals. In all honesty, though, like none of the songs played in this episode can match up to Keep JoJo. Chocopate, eh? Not in the house? Alright. And that is that. I'll see you guys after this. Well, guys, we are done. That was it for the grand finale of Ya Boy Kongming. Was it satisfactory? Kinda. Like I said, I'm glad that we got to hear more than one song, right? Not only Dreamer, we actually also got to see Azalea perform, even though very very short. They did play their song Choco Pate, and at the very end they did kind of make up with Karasawa, right? I've never really thought of Karasawa as sort of like an antagonist character here. I said at length in the last episode as well. I don't think there's inherently anything wrong he's doing. Although, of course, if anything, I feel like Nanami and the other Azalea members, they should have been a little bit more outspoken in what they really want. I mean, he is literally helping them achieve their dreams in a sense, right? So. I'm glad that they sort of made up at the very end, even though it was still we could all see this coming a mile away, right? Like, of course, he's a disgruntled, jaded old guy who used to be a musician and all that. I think it was quite obvious in the last, especially from the last episode, right? That was the biggest hint. But even before that, he seemed like the sort of person to really be like, I've always thought that there was something weird. Like, if he really wanted to just produce a sort of like idol group or whatnot, there's no specific reason to get these three, right? If he's not going to utilize their songwriting capabilities, he's not going to utilize their instrument playing capabilities, their musicianship and whatnot. there's really no reason for him to be so fixated on these three, right? There's so many different talents out there who can sing, who can dance, who looks great, has a great body as well. If he really wanted to make an idol group, there's much better ways to go about this. So at least here we can see that, yeah, he did have a specific reason here, because he truly wants to help push, you know, a musician group, and help them succeed in any way possible, right? So that's sort of like his stubbornness as well. So you can't really hate this guy, right? I've said before that I feel like I felt weirded out by the fact that he's doing all this, and yet, like, let's be honest here, Nanami definitely a talent to keep, right? She's got the looks, she's got the figure, she's got the singing capabilities and whatnot. Then the other two are kind of more, like, not to be rude or anything, but like, look, they're definitely not directly like idol material, right? So that's why I just felt it weird that he was really insisting on helping this group instead. So here at least it's revealed that, yeah, he did have like some sort of ulterior motive here, and that is that what he really truly wants to help succeed is in a former, like, an actual band, an actual musician group, right? So that came to light, and you know, I'm totally fine with all of this. I do feel kind of like patronized in a way, to be honest, by this entire, you know, this is the music that we really want to play and all that. I mean, sure, and don't get me wrong, like, I love their actual, like, song as well. Like, if you really ask me, Chocopate, I vastly prefer to Dreamer, alright? It's just the style of music that I like. I listen to a lot of J-rock, and that includes this sort of, like, pop rock as well, especially, you know, in all-female bands. I've mentioned at length about this in the last few episodes, so that actually completely hit my spot. So, I would actually prefer that song over Dreamer. And then, also, what was the song? The Underworld one, right? Their other song, which was produced and probably written by Karasawa as well. You know, that had much more of a metal feel to it, much more of a darker and more furious feel to it, right? Like, if I really want to make a ranking of all the songs that we've listened to so far, probably Underworld would be number one, in all honesty. Whereas Dreamer would kind of go towards the end there. Like, it's nice. It's nice to listen to, and like I said, there's definitely some sort of nostalgia feeling to it. I can't quite put my finger on it. It's just, I just feel like I've heard this type of music somewhere. It's very, very reminiscent of something. It's definitely not quite modern, though. So there's just some sort of nostalgic feeling that I get when listening to that song. But then again, it's not exactly the type of music that I actively listen. So there is that, right? I think it's all comes down to personal taste here. But then, of course, like, we still got Keep and JoJo. We still got the opening as well. So, I mean, there's lots of good music here, and honestly, Dreamer being I mean, I get it. It's part of the story, right? You don't forget your dreams, go out towards your dreams, yada yada. I get it. All right, but still, that's what I'm talking about, right? If you can't really make the connection, like, on a more deeper level to the song, then looking at the scenes itself, it would be kind of like, you know, you're kind of like just observing it in a way and not really feeling it, if that makes sense. So yeah, anyways, but anyhow, you know, it kind of sort of ended in the way that I expected, although I still would have preferred if they kind of like duked it out with one side actually gaining and winning, right? Like, how awesome would it have been if actually, you know, I obviously I don't want them to be singing at the same time, right? But like, if immediately after Aiko finishes her song, Azalea strikes back, you know, they removed their masking wand. They're like, Karasawa, no, let us do it. We want to play our stuff. You know, they were so moved that they instantly start playing, and then the crowd gets into it as well. And then they're like, who should we vote for? Who should we vote for? And then it all comes down to the final, to the final few votes, and then ultimately it still seems that Aiko pulled out ahead. They could have had a similar ending to this, right? And you know, at the same time, they would still have although I guess, let me think about this actually. I guess maybe this way they can argue that the people who liked their video was truly just because they liked their music and not because they wanted to enter the raffle, they wanted to enter the sort of lottery. But honestly, I feel like that's kind of a weak excuse here. I think it would have been much more epic if they really, showed us their full capabilities and bowed out to the very end. Although, like I said before, like personally, if I was there, I probably would have voted for Azalea. So maybe that was what they were trying to avoid here, and thus they did not allow the two of them to clash heads on. Maybe. But yeah. Anyways, at the very end there, so everybody made up, everybody's fine and okay. I'm presuming that in the future we will still see Azalea as well, although, it's hard to say, right? They could just be saying that, this is a battle to remember just for the sake of saying it. But I kind of feel like Nanami's character is way too good to just throw away like that. So maybe in the future they will still have some sort of like crossover and whatnot. And by the way, I haven't really, I checked and I don't really see any announcement or news of a second season. I actually highly doubt that this will get a second season. It's definitely not exactly the most popular. Like, it has a lot of word of mouth just because of the opening, but beyond that, I don't think that many people are watching this, to be honest. And I guess ultimately, before we get to the very end though, so what do I feel about like them trying to hit it big using their original style? Like, honestly, go for it, right? If that makes you happy, then go for it. But I will have to say though that most probably they will not be as popular as they could have been if they kept their original Azalea act, right? And instead they with this new like reborn Azalea, I'm sure they will have their core fan base, as we can see there, but that would probably be it. There is like this sort of ceiling for all female rock bands in Japan. Like, there's very few who I would say would really can be pushed into superstar status. In fact, I would say most of them probably not. There are a few that manage to perform at 10,000 strong venues, like somewhere like Budokan or whatnot. There's typically like this sort of range in terms of your audience drawing capabilities. You got the you got the tens of people kind of venue. You got the 100 people, 200 people kind of venue, maybe all the way up to like 500-600. 1,000 is another jump. 2,000, 3,000, that's another jump. And then the next jump is probably around 6,000 or all the way up to 10,000, and then upwards 20, 30, and then you're looking at dome capacities, right? That's like 50, 60,000, that kind of thing, stadium capacity. And I would argue that most female rock bands have not, or like the vast majority. Actually, has any of them ever hit a dome tour sort of, or a dome sort of popularity? I think Scandal might have been at the height of their career. I feel like they probably had the capacity to perform at domes, but that's probably about it. Like, even some of the like very good female rock bands that I've mentioned before, a lot of them probably are plateauing at about like the 10,000 capacity sort of venue there. So there is still like a hard ceiling, but at the end of the day, there's going to be people that love this kind of music, right? It's definitely not as mainstream, but hey, if it makes them happy, go for it. But that's not to say that what Karasawa is doing is wrong, though. I think I want to what I want to emphasize is that point. Even though in the previous 11 episodes or so are just trying to make him out to be an antagonist and a bad guy, that's not really true here. I don't really think so. Like I said, Underworld is probably my favorite original song out of all of this. So he knows what he's doing. All right, he knows what he's doing, and the music that he's making is enjoyable. All right, so with that out of the way, so what about this entire series as a whole, right? This is the finale. I mean, let me see. I did not originally pick this up. If you guys go back to the first episode, you'll know that I only started watching this later on, right? Originally I passed this over because I thought it was crack. I didn't really get like why they needed to have this sort of setting, like taking Kongming to the modern world and then making a music anime out of it. I was just like lots and lots of question marks. So I didn't really think. I thought that was probably going to be ridiculous, but and that was basically it, right? I didn't really want to just go into an anime that has pure gag how can I put this, that has pure gag scenarios in it. But it pleasantly surprised. They do go a little bit deeper with the historical references as well, which is a great thing. Like I love history. They definitely went a lot harder in the earlier episodes though. Like in the later parts, they kind of like completely tossed this out. I mean, I guess they still make general references, but not all that much. Like in this episode, you really wouldn't really say there was one at all. I mean, sure, Redcliffe, but they already referenced it last episode, right? No, I did enjoy that, and in fact, they went with a few of the stories that they went with were more obscure as well. So I did appreciate that as well, even though they, like I said, they are mostly taking inspiration from the fictionalized Romance of the Three Kingdoms, which is not historical fact but embellished, right? So I did my best to try to point out the differences between real history and whatnot in the previous episodes, if you guys are into that sort of thing. So I love that. I definitely do feel that the sort of the flow and pacing of the episodes were quite nice. I like the humor, I like the interactions and whatnot. The characters were all great. They had tons of personality and so on and so forth. But ultimately though, I don't really think, like, I wouldn't really say it's like standout or like the how can I put this, like anime of the season or anything like that. It's just a solid anime. That's what I think I can say about it. Like you feel free to disagree and whatnot, but I just feel like ultimately there's still not, like I still have like some problems with, like, for instance, like the entire story with Kabitaijin, right? So what purpose did that ultimately serve here? I guess he was kind of pivotal to sort of like riling up the crowd and all that and creating that sort of situation. But if he wasn't really going to be singing with Aiko at the end there, right? So I don't know. It's just kind of like, I guess that's the sort of situation where we kind of need to have him step back. But he literally like took 3, 4, 5 episodes out of all of this, where we're just looking at stuff in regards to Kabitaijin, right? Like, don't get me wrong, like he's a great character as well, and I like his character development. It's just that the mixing and matching of these two storylines into one, I don't really see that, to be honest. Although, like I said, because this is only like 12 episodes, maybe they are going to do some stuff in the future and whatnot. That remains to be seen, right? So there's that. I like the entire Azalea storyline. I think I've already talked at length about it. I don't particularly like what they were going for. I have a lot of problems with that particular, like, trying to make Azalea and trying to make Karasawa into the antagonist character. I don't really think that should have happened. I mean, obviously at the very end they sort of like all made up and everything is well and all, but I never really quite got that sort of antagonistical point, to be honest. But I mean, sure. If anything, I kind of would have even enjoyed. Probably would have enjoyed it even more if they just had a healthy rivalry instead, and instead Aiko was getting depressed because she couldn't. She was like, oh, how can I win against Nanami? She's so good. She's got the look. She's got the singing chops, and she's unwavering and whatnot. I actually probably would have preferred that. Instead, and have Aiko do sort of like an introspective of her own self as well, which we kind of saw, right? We kind of saw in what was it, episode 8 or 9, something like that. But that was without knowing Nanami's true identity and whatnot. So I kind of feel like I would have been fine if they just went that route instead, and then just have it make it into like a friendly rivalry and duking it out and kind of having a similar sort of conclusion to everything. But I guess we gotta add some drama into it, right? Anyways, to me, honestly, the best thing to come out of all this was the opening and the ending, right? It's been a while since I've heard Kivan Jojo, and like I said, it's a legendary song. I'm glad that they decided to bring it back and sing it once again, right? And the opening, obviously, it's a cover, but I mean, it's catchy. It's hella catchy. And then we still got Underworld, we got Chakapate, we got Dreamer, and so on and so forth. So I guess that's nice as well. But yeah. I think ultimately my thing about this is that it's still not a serious music anime at heart, right? And for music anime, there are some sort of steps of progression that I like to see the characters go through. Like you could call it like sort of like too cliche or too old fashioned, too old school. But I like watching that sort of thing. You need to, just like a shonen, right? You don't expect a shonen protagonist to just instantly be like level 100 and one shot all the bosses or whatnot, unless of course you're like One Punch Man, and that's like a parody, right? We're not talking about that. But in terms of this, like growing from some unknown to suddenly reaching 100,000 likes on a video, and then being able to enter into Summer Sonia within the span of like what, like this is literally about a month or two in time. Like obviously she has the aid of Kongming, right? But still I kind of want to see the progression of her as a musician, or I guess as a singer, as an artist instead. And also, by the way, some of the things, like some of the criticisms that we've leveraged towards Karasawa and Azalea, like not being completely on the same page, I would kind of argue still applies for Kongming and Aiko. Right now, obviously they trust each other. They trust each other a lot. So there's that. They have that going for them. But Kongming hasn't really been completely forward with all his plans and whatnot. I mean, part of it is also because of his entire stick. He needs to be this genius that's always prepared and always has a contingency plan and whatnot. But still, if we're removing like that sort of a how can I say this? That sort of a shtick factor, if you will, then if we really boil it down into sort of like the relationship between a producer and the artist, you would kind of want to see them have a little bit more communication, if you will, on like the future paths and what they should actually be doing to accomplish all of this. Like, maybe I'm being a little bit nitpicky here, but hey, this is the sort of like overall review of the anime anyways. So I just like to point these things out. So overall, a solid anime. I don't really think this is like a masterpiece or outstanding or whatnot, but hey, it was definitely enjoyable, and I definitely feel that the anime form would benefit this manga. It was originally a manga, right? I mean, it's a music anime. Of course, being an anime form is going to benefit it, and yeah. Great. I was gonna make a comment about like the singer choices and whatnot, but I think we'll just leave it at that, right? I don't really have any particular preferences here. To me personally, I've always liked it much more when the seiyuu sings their own songs. I never really liked it when the voice actress, the voice actor, they have one voice and then their singing voice is actually from another person. I mean, even though like Hondo Kaide, she's a great singer as a seiyuu as well. I mean, I've no doubt that she cannot really match up against Kuroneko, right? 96 Cat. So in that essence, yeah, they probably were correct in doing that. But I don't know. To me, I would actually be fine with throwing away a little bit of the sort of singing fidelity and whatnot in order to make it into a much more authentic experience overall. So I guess, if anything, that's one of my last nitpicks about this entire thing. But again, that is still boiling down to personal preference and subjectivity, right? So yeah, anyways, this has been way too long, so that's it for now, and yeah, thank you guys for coming along, and thank to all you guys who were recommending this anime to me. Definitely enjoyable, definitely a lot more enjoyable than the anime that I dropped for this one, right? Shield Hero. But yeah, anyways, so thank you guys for coming along. Do feel free to check out my other works as well, and if not, well, then I guess hopefully someday I will see you guys again. Until then, this has been Maverick. Thank you guys. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.